Hello chess family, it's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're doing back rank checkmates. Alright, we're slowly moving up through the ranks. We're now at 1600 to 1800. It is getting a bit harder, at least for you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to help you with these problems, and well, let's do a race. Let's see if you can problem solve them faster than I can try to explain them. Here we go. It's black to move. What do? Here we see another very basic pattern, at least if you've been keeping up with the series. It's one right here. Here the pawn is actually guarding a lot of the escape squares, in particular the e2 one. Well, why is that important? The king's all the way over here. Remember, when you're trying to problem solve, look for those forced mates, checks, captures, and threats. If it ain't check, it ain't right. And here we get to play. Queen takes on f1, king takes, and now we see why it was so important to guard on e2. The pawn is escaping the escape square for the king, which just leads to our easy back rank mate. Rook b1 check, queen blocks, and rook takes on c1 for mate. All right, here we go. On to the next one. Another easy one. Here we see that the king goes to f1, and this one is not really a pattern we see too much. This one is just one of those kind of logic puzzles. But we see that the escape square here is the king going to e2. So what do? We're going to go ahead and take that square away. If it ain't check, it ain't right. So here, did you find the move? It's bishop to d3 check, and it doesn't matter. If the rook were to take, that leaves the other rook open to take here on e1, or even this rook. So they go ahead and just play king over to g1, but again, we are getting checkmate here. Black to move. Here we're going to play rook takes on e1. Remember, if it ain't check, it ain't right. After rook takes here, white has nothing better than rook takes, and then we're going to go ahead and take for our mate. All right, 2 down. Here we go. What's this one? It's again black to move, and, whoa, actually, this one is not jumping out at me, at least instantly. What's the ideas here? So let's take a look at some ideas. Here we see that we have an undefended rook and an undefended bishop. This is typically a good thing for us. Ooh, and also I see that there is a nice move here with the knight to make a threat. Maybe to attack the rook, but then also go to f2. And yep, it looks like that's the idea. Here, this one, well, it does play around with the back rank idea, but not really a typical one here. I think it's going to be here, knight to d3. And like I said earlier, the rook cannot go to f1 because queen takes on f1 is checkmate. And if the rook moves anywhere else, well, then we're just going to play knight f2 check and fork the king and the queen. That one was a bit tricky there, but we were able to figure it out. Here we go. Knight takes on e1, and now we're just in a winning position as we have the knight for the rook here. So we're up the exchange. That was a 1799 one. All right, queen to d4. And, well, let's look at some ideas. Here we see unprotected rook and unprotected knight. And a good one here to look at here is that, well, the queen looks a little bit vulnerable and the knight almost looks trapped here. In fact, the knight really has only one good escape square, which is on c3. Well, I can definitely tell you that these puzzles are getting a bit harder to problem solve. Let's see. What's the move here? We got to attack the rook and the knight maybe? What's the idea here? So one of the ideas I'm looking at already is rook to d1. It seems like a very natural move to attack the queen, but what will black play there? Black will definitely try to move the queen somewhere and probably move somewhere like to c3 there. Any other ideas that we have in this situation? I mean, then we do have the rook to d8 ideas, but the rook is still guarding here. Simple chess. Of course it is. We're looking for the back rank checkmate. This rook actually looks really good to get to b8, but, well, it's just guarded by e8. And so that's the overloaded idea. Here we see the queen jumps to e2. Remember we said undefended knight, undefended rook? That was the theme. Queen goes to e2. The rook cannot take on e2, or else we go rook to b8 for mate. Here we're forking literally the rook and the knight, and you can't take. And, well, when you defend your rook, we're going to play queen takes knight. Whew, that was a tough one. Did you get it faster than me? All right, on to the next one. Another very nice puzzle here. And this one deals with the back rank, but also trying to get the pawn across the board, which is very typical in these kind of endgames. So here, well, what's the idea? Past pawns must be pushed. Hopefully you know your endgame patterns. We're just going to play pawn to d7. So we're not going to get a back rank mate, but we're going to play around with that idea. Here we see we'd like to play rook e8 check all the way down here, but the rook would just take. So here we combine both the ideas together. Do you see the move? Here, let's add more firepower. We get to play rook to e1, doubling the rooks. And what does this move do? They're going to go ahead and play rook f1. We'll just take here. The point is after rook to e1 here, they could not play rook takes on d7 because rook e8 was the back rank mate. And if they don't, well, then next move will play rook e8 check, And after rook takes, pawn takes, it's going to be, well, at least getting a pawn across the board, if not checkmating. That's why they went ahead and just sacrificed the rook. They get to play rook takes on d7, but at what price? They're definitely in a lost position. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, another fun one over here. Rook to f4. And we see that, well, black's queen is even pinning. This is a really cool idea. Queen takes on d5 is a terrible move. If queen takes on d5, they can even play the intermezzola or the in-between move. Rook takes in check there. Oh my gosh, maybe even knight to g3 check here. But whenever you're looking in these positions, always look not to defend, but to attack. Remember, the best defense is a strong offense. Did you find the move? Here, with black's pieces all concentrated on the king side, they forgot to guard their back rank mate. And here, hopefully you see it. Here, the queen and the rook are eyeing the square. Which one is it? Yep, it's that a8 square over here. Here we go. Rook a8 check, and there's nothing better. They have to take, we take, and that's a little embarrassing, but it's a mate. All right, on to the next one. They went ahead and played king takes on a7. And what's the idea here? Well, we definitely see that we have a rook check over here that we can guard. The queen can't make it over there. This is the cool one. This is the back rank checkmate idea with the bishop. How's that work? Well, here we go. We're going to start up with rook a5 check, and the king is going to have to go to b8. And then I'll let you see if you can figure out the move there. Here we go. Rook a5 check, king to b8. Out of all the other videos we made, we have not gone over this tactic yet, so feel free to push pause if you want to, if you don't already know the pattern. If you do, well, here we go. It's white to move and win. It's the back ranking idea. Here I said it was about b7 attacking over here. I was even looking at ideas about rook over as far as like moving away, but that doesn't work. Here it's going to be rook to a8 check. The king must take. Why would you do this? Because now we're going to get the deadly kiss checkmate. Notice the back rank was not the checkmating idea, but it's going to help lead to a checkmate for the deadly kiss. Here we get to play queen to a6 check. The pawn cannot take here because the bishop was pinned to the pawn. That's why we had to play the rook a8 sacrifice over here. Well, after the king goes to b8, now we get to play it. Deadly kiss, check and mate. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. Queen goes to h6, eyeing this rook here on c1. That's okay. We've got our own threats we can make. And I already see it. This one is the Fisher mate. If you've been keeping up the series, you know when I was younger, I read the book Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess, and this was one of the diagrams or the patterns he goes over. Do you see it? Here, the bishop on b8 looks like a good piece because it's guarding and attacking here on the king side, but it blocked off this rook, and this rook wants to go to c8, but this rook's guarding it. Do you see the first move? Here we go. Queen takes on f7 check, rook takes. Remember, do not take here, as this does let the king escape. Here, the idea for Bobby Fischer was to put this rook into an absolute pin. You absolutely cannot move it, and now we get to play rook to c8 for mate. All right, on to the next one. Rook to d4 gets played, and another very easy one here. I mean, I think we've gone over this chess pattern all the way back until maybe 1200 rating or so. But here we see that, well, although we don't have access to the back rank right now, the rook and the queen are both eyeing the d1 square. And that's the answer. Remember, if it ain't check, it ain't right. So we go queen to d1 check, rook takes, and then rook takes on d1, and then, of course, e1 for mate. All right, let's do one more over here. Queen takes on f7 here. And, this one is definitely a pattern of the higher level because it looks like white has escape squares here with d2 with the king, and also maybe rook back to d1 here. So here you have to make sure that you do the right move order here. Here we see we have the rook and the queen coming down for e1 check. And one of these is correct, but the other one is wrong. Which one is it? All right, hopefully you know the pattern here. It's not queen to e1 check because the rook will block here. And, well, after that, there's no good checks here. You go queen e3 check, the king comes over. The idea is queen e3 check to remove a defender. So that's why we're going to start off with rook to e1 check, rook blocks. And now you see why we did it with the rook first. Here we have the queen coming over. Remember, whenever you're attacking your opponent, especially when it's defending, try to remove the defender. Here we have queen to e3 check. The king moves over and rook to d1 for mate. I could already hear someone asking, hey, what happens if the king had run the d2 after the rook had gone to after rook e1 check? What happens if king to d2? You'd actually play the same move here. It's going to be queen to e3 for check and mate. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you in the next video when we go to 1800 to 2000. Come on, experts.